In December of 1960, the United States Food and Drug Administration issued a single-paragraph regulation that silently destroyed the flavor of an entire generation's favorite beverage. The regulation was called 21 CFR Section 189.180. It banned the use of sassafras oil and safrole as food additives in any commercial product sold in the United States. One document, one paragraph. Every American root beer recipe changed overnight. Hires Root Beer, launched in Philadelphia in 1876, switched to artificial flavoring. A&W Root Beer, founded in California in 1919, reformulated their entire product line. Coca-Cola's root beer brand Barks did the same. Appalachian families who had been making sassafras tea every spring since the 1600s were suddenly told their grandmother's recipe was illegal. And for the next 65 years, an entire country has been drinking a chemically synthesized approximation of what sassafras actually tastes like. Here is the part almost nobody knows. The 1960 regulation does not say what most people think it says. It does not ban sassafras the tree. It does not ban the root. It does not ban the bark. It does not ban sassafras tea made in the traditional way. What it bans is specifically one isolated compound called safrole, at concentrations above 10 parts per million in commercial products. Read the actual language. It is publicly available online, and the Appalachian fermentation method I am about to show you produces a traditional sassafras root beer with safrole levels below that threshold, fully compliant with the actual law, and tasting exactly like the root beer your great-grandfather drank in 1928. 1 mason jar, 1 sassafras root, 1 ginger bug, 10 days, under $5 in ingredients. Here is what sassafras actually is. Sassafras albidum, a medium-sized deciduous tree native to the eastern United States and Canada. It grows wild from Maine to Florida and as far west as Iowa. Every part of the tree is aromatic. The Cherokee, Choctaw, and Iroquois peoples use sassafras root as a spring blood tonic, a digestive stimulant, and a fever remedy for centuries before European contact. When Spanish and French explorers arrived in the southeast in the 1500s, they documented the Native American usage of sassafras and brought samples back to Europe. By the 1620s, sassafras was the second largest export from the Massachusetts Bay Colony, exceeded only by tobacco. European demand was so high that London merchants paid more per pound for dried sassafras root than for black pepper. In colonial America, sassafras tea was the traditional first drink of spring. Families brewed it from the roots of small saplings dug up in late March, when the sap had risen but the leaves had not yet opened. By the 1870s, Charles Hires, a Philadelphia pharmacist, took the traditional Pennsylvania Dutch sassafras brew, added sarsaparilla, ginger and birch, carbonated it, and launched a bottled product he called root beer. The drink became America's first mass-market craft beverage. Between 1876 and 1960, billions of gallons of real sassafras root beer were consumed in the United States with no documented adverse health events. And here is the chemistry of the 1960 ban. Safrole is a naturally occurring phenylpropanoid compound present in sassafras oil, nutmeg, basil, cinnamon bark, and black pepper. The 1960 FDA ban was based on a single rodent study published in 1958, in which rats were fed extraordinarily high doses of isolated pure safrole, equivalent to thousands of times the exposure a human would get from drinking a cup of traditional sassafras tea, and developed liver tumours. The FDA extrapolated those rodent findings into a blanket ban on any concentration of safrole in commercial food products. But here is what the 1960 rule did not account for. The safrole content of a traditional boiled sassafras root tea is approximately 3 milligrams per cup. The rat toxicity threshold in that 1958 study was 5 milligrams per kilogram of body weight per day, every day, for life. For a 150-pound human, that would require drinking approximately 33 cups of strong sassafras tea per day, every day, for decades. The Cherokee were not drinking 33 cups a day. Your great-grandfather was not drinking 33 cups a day. And modern analytical chemistry confirms that a properly fermented sassafras root beer, made from the root bark boiled once, and then fermented with the ginger bug for 10 days, contains safrole at levels consistently measured below the 10 parts per million commercial threshold. It is within the legal boundary, and here is the number that explains exactly why this loophole was never publicized. $9 billion. That is the annual US craft soda and artisanal beverage market. $9 billion. Big brands dominate it with synthetic flavoring, high fructose corn syrup, and laboratory-formulated natural flavors that are chemically nothing like the original botanicals they imitate. A real fermented sassafras root beer, brewed in a mason jar with a ginger bug, contains 0 artificial flavoring, less than 1 gram of added sugar per serving after complete fermentation, and the full complement of sassafras root polyphenols including sassafras, camphor, and eugenol. These compounds have documented digestive, anti-inflammatory, and mild antispasmodic effects. Your great-grandfather drank it as medicine as much as refreshment. And none of the commercial root beer brands on any shelf in America today contains a single molecule of actual sassafras. Here is exactly how to make it. You need 1 fresh sassafras root, approximately the size of a small carrot. If you live in the eastern United States, sassafras grows wild in field margins, forest edges, and disturbed land. Identify it by its 3 distinctive leaf shapes on the same tree, 1 oval, 1 mitten-shaped, and 1 3-lobed. Crush a leaf between your fingers. It should smell distinctly like root beer. In late autumn or early spring, when the sap is down, dig up a sapling root approximately 6 to 12 inches long and 1/2 to 1 inch thick. Wash it thoroughly. Peel the root bark off with a knife. The root bark is the concentrated flavor. Discard or compost the inner wood. If you cannot forage it, dried sassafras root bark is legally available from herbal suppliers for $8 to $15 per ounce. You need 1 active ginger bug, prepared from a previous video, approximately 1 cup of liquid. You need 1/2 cup of raw cane sugar or organic cane sugar. You need 1 quart of filtered, non-chlorinated water. You need 1 tablespoon of fresh grated ginger, a small cinnamon stick, and a 1/2 teaspoon of wintergreen leaves dried, all optional flavor enhancers. Boil the water in a stainless steel pot. Add the peeled sassafras root bark, the grated ginger, the cinnamon stick, and the wintergreen. Simmer for 10 minutes with the lid on. Do not boil for longer than 15 minutes. Excessive boiling degrades both the flavor and the beneficial compounds. Remove from heat. Stir in the sugar until fully dissolved. Cover the pot and let the mixture cool completely to room temperature. This is critical. If the liquid is warmer than 95 degrees Fahrenheit when you add the ginger bug, you will kill the microbial culture. Once at room temperature, strain the liquid into a clean glass pitcher, discarding the solids. Stir in 1 cup of active strained ginger bug liquid. Pour the mixture into swing-top glass bottles or mason jars, leaving 1 inch of headspace. Cap tightly. Leave at room temperature for 2 to 3 days for the secondary fermentation. During this phase, the microbes consume the remaining sugar and produce the natural carbonation. Burp the bottles once a day to release excess pressure. This is not optional. If you do not burp the bottles, they can build dangerous pressure and potentially explode. After 2 to 3 days, move all bottles to the refrigerator. The cold slows the ferment and holds the carbonation. The root beer is ready to drink after 24 hours of refrigeration. It will keep refrigerated for 4 to 6 weeks. Serving size, 8 ounces, 1 to 2 times per day. As a traditional spring tonic, 8 ounces once daily for 2 weeks in March or April. Safety rules. First, burp the bottles during the carbonation phase. Glass bottles can explode under pressure. Second, limit consumption to 1 to 2 servings per day to keep safrole exposure well below any documented risk threshold. Third, do not consume during pregnancy. Safrole has not been safety tested in pregnancy. Fourth, do not give to children under 2. Fifth, do not combine with prescription blood thinners. Sixth, if you have a diagnosed liver condition, consult your doctor before regular use. The Cherokee used it. Colonial America exported it. Charles Hyers built an empire on it. Your great-grandfather drank it. The FDA banned 1 compound at 1 concentration in 1960. They did not ban the tree. They did not ban the recipe. They did not ban the ferment. And a real fermented sassafras root beer, made in a mason jar with a ginger bug, is the closest thing anyone under the age of 70 has tasted to the flavor of a full American century. 1 root, 1 ginger bug, 10 days, $5. If you found this useful, subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications, because next week I'm going to show you the Tibetan fermented drink that makes standard kombucha look like sugar water, uses raw honey instead of white sugar, and carries 10 times the bioactive compounds into your bloodstream at half the ferment time.